Yo, what's up, everybody? So we're gonna be on a tour this whole month, just driving down the East Coast, doing episodes with different guests along the way. This is the first of that tour. Enjoy. Peace. All right, boom, we're live. We're at Neir's crib in North Carolina, and we just drove here.
Just had a rowdy day.
Yeah, we had a pretty rowdy day, bro. So we were just out shooting, right? And I was thinking about like the whole day while we were shooting at that like range in the woods, how having a gun is like seriously, especially if you know how to use it like the way that you do, it's like a serious superpower because like. For example, like you could be like a female and you could like learn jujitsu or boxing, but if the dude like severely is bigger than you, it's gonna be hard for you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like even as a man, if the guy is way bigger than you, like it's hard for you to defend yourself like one on one. Never mind if they're more. And like we're living in this crazy world, and I think that like the ability to like know how to use this crazy tool that is like guns to be able to defend yourself, like. You're essentially like as unfuckwithable as you can get without like being part of like some, like.
I think it's that way if you want to use it that way. But
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, we train different things, but it's not like I'm out there shooting people, and you know that.
Yeah.
It's sport shooting, and that's I just wanted to give you guys a taste of like what show is about. So it's a good tool if you know how to use it, but like we said, man, like it's a very total tool. There's no turning back if you pull a gun on somebody.
Yeah.
And if you think there is, you're a fucking idiot. So
Yeah. How did you get into it?
my friend Bobby shoots competition. I got, like I told you guys, like when the pandemic popped off, we didn't have anything. So I was like, yo, let me find a way to protect my family. And I was like, well, yo, I have this. Let me try to know how to use it because Bobby shot competition. He seemed pretty sick at it. And once I found a way to get in, like through my boy Trey, that's whose land we shot at, shot my first match, and it was pretty cool. It was very humbling in a lot of ways. And after that, just like find out how to get into that culture, I guess is lack of a better term, culture, and just fucking went for it, man.
Yeah. What do you mean by it was humbling?
I mean, you saw what it was like. You start shooting multiple shots, right?
Yeah.
It starts going everywhere. You might not even hit the target.
Yeah.
And then when you're moving like you were, now try doing that faster.
No, I feel like people have a misconception of guns, like from movies, for example. Like that's what I thought personally before I went to.
You just run in like
a
this.
range. Yeah, or like you just wherever you point, like 100%, like it'll be good, you know. And like after watching like
y'all learned, yeah.
after watching Harley Davidson and Marlboro Man, he's like just squeeze, don't pull or whatever. And dude, it's difficult. Like it takes a lot of training to hit the target. Like if they're not right in front of you, it takes a lot of training.
Well, like when you were shooting that steel, I mean, those 20 yards, which is a considerable distance for most people, even with a handgun with a dot on it. And you saw the difference in just yanking the trigger. And when I was like, yo, prep the trigger, you were able to bring it in and do better. So it worked out.
Yeah, the AR took my heart, bro. That shit is
That shit was fun, man. I'm glad you guys had fun. I am.
What do you think about like I don't know, like there's a lot of talk that people talk about like gun control and like banning guns completely. There's like the ban on assault weapons, and like while we were shooting you were talking about how like if you go to like a concealed carry class or certification thing, you see a lot of people who like you think that shouldn't carry.
Well, because people are fucking stupid for the most part. But no, like gun control.
Like, do you think it's effective?
No, it never will be. And I mean, like with mass shootings and shit, those guys allegedly get those guns legally. So it doesn't matter. Like I told you, you can go to Long Island and buy a rifle before you can buy a pistol. And
but you can go to Long Island and buy a rifle before you can buy a pistol.
For whatever reason, right? Like you don't need a purchase permit to get.
I guess the idea, what would their idea be? Because you can like stuff a pistol in your pocket as opposed to like a rifle, like.
Oh, you can put a rifle in a guitar case and you're straight. Yeah. You know what I mean? But
get a trench coat.
Word, right? But no, I mean gun control is just it's not effective in so many ways, and a lot of like right wing cats, like the dudes I shoot with, fully believe like that shit's gonna happen. I don't think it will. and they might offer buybacks, and people need money. But beyond that, there's nothing that's ever going to happen, I think. But in the concealed carry course, like I told you, like a lot of people don't know how to fight, and they pull a gun out of fear. Pull that trigger, you can't come back from it, man.
Do you think it's necessary to know how to fight if you're really skilled with a handgun?
Yeah, because what if I take the gun from you and beat you over the head with it?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But yeah, totally.
Do you think both are just like equally necessary? I know a lot of like of the
just having proper training for whatever you want to do or expect out of life, I think is totally necessary.
Yeah. I was reading this one book and it was talking about how like the guy said like even if you don't believe in certain things, you should still know about them because since other people believe in it, then it's going to affect you. So he's talking about like racism, like he doesn't believe in it, let's say he doesn't believe in like the racist ideology, but he should understand it and like understand their ideology. So because since so many people do, it's going to end up affecting his life in one way or another. Or like he talks about religion and how like he doesn't believe, he's not a religious guy, but he should somewhat understand what their beliefs are because so many people are religious and there's wars and shit held over this. And like, you know, shooting the gun today and shit, it's like, yeah, I should probably have like somewhat of an understanding how to work this thing. Cause like, you know, however like unlikely or likely you think the situation is, like if someone were to toss me that shit, like I don't even know how to reload that shit, bro. Like,
yeah, we didn't do that today, did we?
Like,
you didn't know about slide lock, and you're like, why
like,
is there one in the chamber already?
Like anything at all. Like
it's a bullet backwards.
Yeah,
yeah,
I mean, it's all good.
It's like I don't know.
Yeah, you loaded the bullets backwards too. That was cool,
dude. It's like if this was like filled with liquid, and I was thirsty, and someone gave me this, and I don't know how to open this can.
Yeah,
it's pretty pathetic. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I mean it might be worth it to research other, you know, things in this world, but. I mean, a little bit of training you guys took today, you guys took to it very well, in my opinion. So, we had fun.
No, yeah, it was really cool and like eye opening. What do you think in terms of like what you were saying? Like, what is like the use of guns done for you in your life? You were saying like how it's like that's part of your release when you go.
Yeah, it's a disconnect from my day to day. I mean, going to matches because I'll shoot just about every weekend. You know, you meet some cool people and. You make friends with some people, and it's fun. You go out there, like, maybe you want to prove something to yourself. Maybe you don't care. Maybe you just want to have fun, but it's just a good, fun time. I mean, spend an afternoon shooting paper and steel and having fun. So it's a release just like going to the gym or painting or anything like that. So.
Yeah, and it's like it's really important to treat that shit with respect too, like understanding, like you said, that once you pull that shit out, like.
Well, neither of you shot yourselves or each other or me, so that was cool.
Yeah. Dude, every time I move around, I'm trying to like put that shit.
So
on the
yeah,
ground.
yeah, like that's. I guess I didn't explain that, and it would have helped. But when you shoot a match with like USPSA or IPSC, it's they call it the 180. So if we're facing downrange, anything behind, like you have this line. Anything behind that's your 180. Like you break that, it's a disqualification because you can shoot people behind you. In theory, it's a safety. What's the motherfucking word? Safety violation. So I mean, we could have gone other, but y'all kept this shit down range.
So anything that like say that this is my anything past this is.
Yeah. So like, you do. They call it your weak side, your support side, when your weaker hand. If I reload this way, and I can't my gun. Like, that's right there on the line. But if I'm going this way, I can turn my gun this way, and it's downrange the whole time. You know what I mean? Like, little things like that. But you guys didn't, like I said, you didn't shoot me or each other, so we did okay on that tip.
So for, like, when you're shooting and you're, like, trying to get better and improve on it as a craft, what are, like, for example, like, I guess in boxing, you could be like, as I learn how to slip punches more, like, learning to focus on the body or learning how to cut off the ring. What are, like, the factors of getting better at shooting besides just, like, hitting on the target on the mark?
So, like I was telling you, they call it dry fire, which is like, you could equate it to shadow boxing.
Okay.
Obviously, you can't always practice live fire wherever you are, so you can work on your grip, your draw, like you saw me drawing from the holster, how I draw, how my hands are placed, how I prep and pull the trigger, so I can watch. Like, you know when you pull the dot, or you pull the trigger and you see the dot jerk, but then when you prep the trigger, it kind of stayed a little more stable. You work on that. You do reps on that. Do reps on, you know, static and active reloads, like where you're moving, like you see the scaled targets I have, like I can move around if I want to. But then for the most part, like lately I've just been shooting so many matches, like whatever I've wanted to work on, I bring in that, but I attribute my boxing footwork and that to how I shoot. Like, did you catch yourself using your footwork at all when you were moving around?
I'll like usually just stand in like the, not really the natural, like the regular stance, but like somewhat revolved around.
Like, you know, when you pivot and shit on your box. I catch myself when we have certain angles. Like, today was just straightforward us shooting down range. 2 obstacles maybe, but like, I just use all that, and that's what helps me improve. I think I might have that advantage over some people, but I'm still fairly new. Like, I've only shot like 20 matches in 6 months. Some people might say that's a lot. I disagree.
What are the qualifications to like enter these matches?
Show up.
That's it?
Show up. There's certain divisions. I shoot carry optics. Your gun has to, like tomorrow's Area 6, which is a major match, like I was telling you guys. Now my gun's going to get weighed. It has to make a certain weight. Like there's a maximum. And then there's power factor, which is a lot of guys reload or they load their own stuff. Like everything we were shooting came out of a box. You saw as factory ammo.
Yeah.
Has to meet a certain power factor because you're scoring minor or major depending on your caliber. 9mm is minor, which is what we were shooting. But yeah, you show up. A lot of guys show up with like some weird like tactical gear. Like they don't know, and that's cool. I didn't know my first one either. And this dude. And you just show up and you just try not to. It's like what Bobby told me. He's like, "Yo, your first match, you're not gonna impress anybody, so don't fucking try," which was awfully true. And then watch your 180, and as long as you don't shoot yourself or somebody else, you win. And I'm performance based at this point. Like there's guys that shoot me out of the fucking water, right? Professionals, in my opinion. I'm more based on my performance right now. Like, what did I do with this match that I improved on? What can I work to improve on? And that's all I focus on. And getting into a match, like we could just sign up. You could take one of my guns with one of my belts up there, and you can experience it that way. It's not very difficult to get into.
This might be a weird question, but like, do you consider shooting as like a kind of like an art form? Like I'm comparing it to boxing, and like how people from the outside world might see it as like this brute thing, whereas like people inside of it might see it like seriously as a science, as an art.
Definitely. I mean, it's sport shooting for sure.
Do you as someone who's more in the scene and understanding of it, do you see like a beauty in it?
Yeah, I mean, you see, if you guys were here tomorrow, I'd take you to the match and you could see some of these guys that, you know, what we were doing today at a slower pace, they can do 10 times as fast with 10 times better results. So it's definitely, you could say it's an art, but it's worth it in my opinion. If you want to excel at it, I mean, take it seriously, right?
Well, that's the thing. Like a lot of the times I talk about like martial arts or boxing and shit like that, and I talk about how like some of these hobbies, like there's a lot of hobbies in this world that you could be a chess player, you could be like a jiu-jitsu guy, you could be a boxer, you could be a wrestler, you could be someone who likes shooting. But a lot of these are like only important in their little field. Like if you're a chess player and you leave the chess room, no one really gives a shit that you can play chess, and it's like your ability to play chess is not really going to affect me. But if you're a boxer and I'm a chess player, like your ability to box is going to affect me if like we get into an argument or any kind of like altercation, even if we're not going to fight and we're just like doing this little like imposing the dominance of like what is the hierarchy of like our like relationship, like it's going to have an effect. And I think that shooting is one of those things that it's obviously valid outside of like the sport of shooting, because if shit goes down, like we have like these weird like memes, you have these weird little talks of like, you know, we don't know how to grow our own food. So if they just like, if the grocery store closes and like the Dwayne Reeds and the delis close, and like, I'm not saying it's likely, I'm just saying, we're just like talking shit.
Right.
Then what the fuck do we know how to do? We don't know how to do anything. And a really valuable skill in that situation would be, you know, knowing how to use like the most effective tool there is.
Right.
Which is a gun. You know what I mean? Like
it works to a degree. I mean, like I was saying, I mean, I don't think me knowing how to operate a firearm in the capacity I do, which like to the normal person might seem exceptional, but to my peers, it ain't much. It's like, I would say if you want to equate it to jiu-jitsu as a fair way to equate or like compare my skill, like I'd say I'm a white belt still.
Really?
So many, yeah. And I also don't think I'm the baddest motherfucker on this earth, regardless of what I can and can't do. So I don't know.
No, it's like a whole world, man. It's
it
a whole
is.
world.
I mean, it's its own subculture, like anything else that we're into. So
I compare it to like, it's in the category of self-defense in general. Like, I think anybody that wants to like protect their family or, you know, take a stand, especially the course this world is going in, you know, it's like uncertain, like, you know, like crime is going up and shit like that, like poverty. I think people should just keep learning martial arts. And like what you said, if someone has a gun, I think it should be mandatory for them to do what you do, like go to the range and constantly have like a personal relationship with that tool, because it's a huge responsibility to own something like that. And I think to stay on point will, it just like,
I mean,
like
you learned
sharpening the
today,
sword,
like,
yeah.
you learned how to make a gun. You know how to make a gun go bang, right?
Mm.
And then you learn how to control it and do a little bit more. Like you were doing transitions, you were moving, and you were like, okay, this is how I can control it. I mean, just knowing how to use what's in front of you is important, I feel, in life. So, I mean, like I said, you know how to take a gun and make it go bang, but now you know a little bit more than you did. So, it is important for sure. But
In terms of like the concealed carry shit, and I know you have the permit to conceal carry, but you typically don't on a daily basis. So what is the ideology behind that? Like, for example, most people, you would think you worked hard to get this concealed carry permit, so now I'm going to concealed carry all the time. That's what my thought would be. You know what I mean? But then you have it and you don't.
well, mainly I got it so I could buy more guns, because I need a pistol purchase permit, and I could just get one whenever the fuck I want. But the second thing is, like, in North Carolina, and probably in most states, I'm not too familiar, you can open carry. Like, I can walk around with it on my hip. But, you know, like we talk, like, I wouldn't want to play myself out that way. And I don't conceal carry because I'm at the gym and some other shit. Like, I like to think I'd avoid most shitty situations. Like we were talking about, like, yo, if it gets crazy, like, I'll just go the other way.
Mm-hmm.
If that makes me sound like a bitch, I don't give a fuck. But, like, why would if I can avoid the situation, avoid it.
Mm-hmm.
Especially if you have a gun. If the other dude has a gun, like, yeah, nah. I've had a gun in my face. That shit sucked. And I wanted to go the other way. And, like, if I'd had a gun in that moment, would it have mattered? I don't know. But I've had one in my face, and that shit sucked.
But if he knew you had a gun in that moment, then it also would have changed the course of shit.
Maybe not.
If he knows it's on your hip.
You saw that thing I posted.
What's he gonna do? Just
you saw the thing I posted the other day where that dude was talking about you move your head, and by the time you move your head, the guy pulls the trigger. Like, that's how you, like, that's science of getting fucking shot.
It's like those McDojo shits, dude. I've seen somewhere they do some things to, like, unarm a gunman. You know what you do? You give the gunman what he wants. That's what you do.
I mean, I gave that dude $12 that time he put one in my face.
Like,
that's all I had. And he was like, nah. And I was like, that's all I got, bro.
The thing is with the open carry, like, if it's on your hip, let's say that I rob you for your $12. Well, now I'm not just going to walk away because, like, I know you. Like, how am I going to, like, exit this situation? I need to exit with extreme caution. And, like, any sudden movements, I'm shooting you because I know that you have some shit on your hip. Whereas, as opposed to if I don't know you have anything, well, then I'm like, oh, it's just like a defenseless civilian. I leave now. You know what I mean?
The only thing that would make sense is, like, if he doesn't want to kill you, take your gun from you. You know?
Oh, that's right. Like, give me that shit. But give me that shit. That means, like, you get.
No, it's a weird
Yeah,
situation.
like,
it's like, yo, like,
no, it's a
give it to me, but don't
situation.
move. But give it to me, but let's slow down. But give it to me, like, yo, chill. Like,
Nah, I mean, yeah, that's I just try to. You don't know what life's gonna throw at you, but I do my best to avoid those situations. So.
Yeah. What do you think about, like, all the especially like very recently? It's been like mass shootings on, like, all over the news. Like, I saw there was, like, what was it, 5 and
it was like 3 in one.
3 in a thing. Like,
they're trying to get rid of guns in the city.
That should be happening a lot. I don't know.
Yeah, it happens a lot, dude. And, like,
people are gonna do what they want to do.
Yeah.
You know.
You were saying that most of these guns are acquired legally, really?
Yeah, I mean, it was in Colorado or some shit. Yeah, like, a lot of dudes just, you can go buy a gun legally. I don't know if that's an attempt to be like, we shouldn't be able to get it so easily, but like I told you, you got to pass a background check.
Mm-hmm.
And that can take some time, a couple of days, you know, at the most, but.
So what exactly is, like, like, for example, for you to get one, what did you have to go through?
Well, I don't have, it's like when I purchase a firearm, like a pistol, you fill out a form, and it's almost like on an honor system. Like, are you a fugitive from justice? Are you addicted to marijuana? Like, goofy shit like that. And you just check yes or no. Like, these dudes they just look at your shit, they look at the paperwork, they let it go. It's pretty simple to, if I just wanted to buy a gun and give it to my boy, they can't have a gun. It's not terribly hard. Like, I don't know what checks they go through. Like, unless it's for a rifle and you can flag as a felon, who knows? But.
Wait, so for a rifle, you can flag as a felon?
I'm assuming. I mean, they run it through a computer. Like
Yeah.
I got something last week, and they just looked at my paperwork, made sure it checked out on my ID, and that was it.
Really, dude? That's really
That might scare.
crazy.
I don't know if that's gonna scare some people, but I doubt it will.
Well, it's not scaring me. It's more
It's a
so
whole
like
different world.
it's shocking.
Yeah.
Because like, you just pretty much made it sound like you check the box you feel like checking, and you know which one not to check if you want it. You know what I mean? Like that's what it sounds like.
I guess.
And like, what is the like? My question is.
But
Like,
you have to also supply, like, my concealed carry is my pistol purchase permit, right? You have to get one from the county, and they run a background check on you. So in theory, when you are going to purchase that firearm, you have passed all, legal and
mm-hmm.
whatever requirements are necessary. Like in this county, you have to get like they gotta make sure you haven't been committed to the fucking loony bin or no shit like that. So in theory, yeah, you're good to go.
Yeah, I know the NRA says that more guns make society more peaceful, similar to like how having nuclear bombs has kind of like made our like major powers avoid war because we know what the fuck's gonna happen if we go into like another world war. We're just all gonna die, as opposed to like I'm not gonna argue with you if I see you if I'm in a state where like I know everyone's carrying, because like doesn't matter how much anything I know, like, and even if I do have a gun, what am I gonna do? Get into a shootout every time someone pisses me off on the road? Like, I'd be more careful to, talk shit to somebody or anything at all if I know I'm gonna I'd be more careful to not talk to shit to someone on the road, let's say here, than in New York. Because in New York, I'm like, all right, well, these people probably especially the average civilian has nothing. But here, I see a dude that has a fucking sticker on his car that says "Redneck Savage," and I'm like, yo, it's clipped. Like, I'm not gonna
I don't know. I don't know if I'd play myself out by putting that I'm like a Sig Sauer sticker on my truck or no shit like that. Like, I wouldn't want you to know what I have. Like, what's in my arsenal, for lack of a better term, whether it's your hands, your ability to manipulate somebody's body, or the fact you have a gun. Like, I don't know if we didn't see none of that today, did we? Like, nobody having crazy stickers on the car that's like, this guy's definitely got a gun in his truck.
The thing is, like you said, it's like this is like a different world than like New York.
Well, you got down here and you saw how, I mean, even from where we're at to downtown, it was like a culture shock. But like, I mean, you came down here and it's like the fucking woods.
Yeah, no, I just assumed that everyone had. I mean, if I lived here, I would have something. Why wouldn't I? Like,
No, it only makes sense.
Even if I didn't carry or have any crazy permits, I just have it in my fucking shoe box under my bed, and some dumb shit. I would just have it, because if all I have to do is check some boxes, then this is I'd rather.
Well, it's not just you can't just walk in the store and be like, "Yo, I want this gun." And oh, okay, here you go. But it's give me your license. You have a pistol purchase permit or a concealed carry. They take that, make a copy. Yeah. And then they hand you the form, you fill it out, and I mean, yeah, shit can change in your legal situation at any point in time. Like, I could be pending for a felony, and I'm just gonna perjure myself on this form. Yeah. Fuck it. Yeah. But at some point in time, I was playing straight enough to get what I needed to get to that point.
Just being from the city, I feel like it's such a distant thing, thinking you can just go get a gun or get a certificate or a license, because I feel like they don't want that at all in this city.
I know, y'all were chilling. Y'all were stoked. We were just fucking shooting into the
Bro,
fucking
what? I
woods
told
today.
you, I wish you fucking lived closer, dude. I'll make this a weekend thing. Fucking take the AR on the range, fucking pop some steel.
Yo, nah. I feel what you're saying. Yeah. I mean, that's just, New York's also just a super tough place on everything. So. Yeah.
No.
There's just so many humans living together like cockroaches, stacked on top of each other. That has a huge part to do with it. There's just so many. I'm always surprised when I see businesses and shit, and I'm like, who is regulating this? There's this one street and there's just businesses on top of businesses on top of businesses. I'm like, who is regulating these people to make sure they have all their permits and make sure this is a clusterfuck of insanity, dude.
I told you about the homie that got that the ghost gun. He paid a lot of money for it, but I mean, it's out there if you want it. So yeah.
Yeah, I heard about that. I think they banned that shit, made it illegal in New York recently, in the past year. But
I mean, this gun wasn't legal in any means.
That should make sense though. How can it be illegal if it's just pieces of metal separated? I get it, when you put it together, maybe whatever, but I don't know. It should be legal. I think it's like a fucking Lego set. Just put that shit together. Whatever.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, now
Be
you can
just
3D
tripping.
print anything you want.
Oh
so-
yeah.
I mean, that's happened too. People 3D print guns and kill people with that shit.
No, you could fire a few shots
Yeah.
until they like explode in your hand.
How did you get into boxing?
So
From not knowing absolutely anything to like trying it out for the first time.
It interested me. Like I had no previous interest. I was 19, I think. And like I said, like I found the gym here, but I didn't have the balls to walk in there. Like, didn't know how to start in terms of like, all right, do I just go? Right. So some time went by, and then over that time, I relocated to Jacksonville, Florida. I was living with my friend Justin, and one day he's like, yo, you want to start at the gym on Monday? Because I'd expressed interest over time. And I was like, yeah, let's go. And I went to Bulldog Boxing in Jacksonville and just got thrown into the fucking fire. And that was it. I mean, it was, like I told you, like, they were just kind of like, yo, do whatever Justin does. And Justin has a lot of experience, and I told you, like, I didn't learn some things that I should have learned in the beginning. And got into it and stayed with it, man.
I think it's so hard in the beginning to know if your trainer is valid or not because you don't know anything. So they just do a couple 1-2 on the pads, and you think.
I didn't even do I didn't do mitts for a long time. Like in Florida, I never hit mitts. It was always.
So what'd you do your first day when you walked in?
Ran 2 miles, which sucked at that time because I wasn't expecting that. Jump rope for 3 rounds. Did what I thought was shadow boxing, which made no fucking sense at the time because I didn't know anything. I think we worked heavy bag, and I remember doing not a pad, but like that big ass circle thing you can hold for hooks and uppercuts.
Yeah.
And he's like, do a left hook. I was like, all right. I wasn't doing a left hook. I was doing like just a jab at an angle. And I remember going home that day and like holding my fist or holding my hands in a fist for so long, my hands were cramped up. And then after that, it just grew into kind of learning some technique here and there. And then I just got thrown into the ring and just learned kind of as I went, which wasn't the best way. Moved out of Florida, came back here, and then I was on and off with it for a while. And when I ended up at Dime, which is the gym here, like the first day I felt myself get better because he was like, yo, you do this way. Showed me some things that were wrong in my footwork. And from there, it just was like, boom, boom, boom. So that was tight.
How do you remember how it was your first time that you sparred? Like how the situation was? Like, did you know, for example, when you were going in that day you were going to spar, or you had no idea?
No, I didn't. So, like I told you, so Justin's like, yo, we're going to spar. And I was like, this sucks. And he like knocked the headgear off of me. I told you like how frustrated I was in so many ways because we'd worked like slip jab to the body. And all that shit went out the window when like you're not just doing jab drills. You got everything else to account for. And it was frustrating. And from there, like I would just focus on, all right, this is what you did poorly on this day. And I'm going to double end bag, start working head movement better, lateral movement, changing my angles, knowing how to get off the line instead of just standing there and getting hit in the fucking face.
Like the old school stance where they have their head slightly off the center line and shit.
Really, I was just like, I was moving more dramatically than like, you know, a small slip or like a small step to the side. Like rather than adjusting my angle so small, I was like total 90-degree pivot one way or the other, trying to counter while I was doing that. Like that's how I boxed for a long time. And then, yeah, I just, when you spar every day, you only are going to get better that way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and that's what it was for a couple months, man. And then, like I told you the first time, like, when you get your ass beat every day and eventually, you dish out the first beating on somebody, it's like, oh, okay, maybe I don't suck. And that's what it was.
And like all the suffering I'm actually being able, like, it's an amazing feeling when you learn some sort of technique and move and you try and it's like not working out, like something about it's not working out. And then that one day it clicks and you can just like, you can actually implement it and you start figuring out.
Right.
Like,
which was like, that's happened with a lot of things. Like some days you just level up out of nowhere, you know? And I remember that day it was, like I told you, like this kid's like, yo, I want to spar you. And I was like, ain't this a bitch? And I would get in the ring and I was like, well, you know, what are we going to do? And that kid's liver was fucking hurting him by the end of the day because I was just like, oh, okay, I know how to do some things that when you spar against higher level people, like you don't always have an answer for what they've got,
Mm-hmm.
and then when you're able to turn the tables, it's rewarding. So
Yeah, the crazy thing about boxing too is like a lot of boxers like ability to download your data and adapt. Like if they can adapt on the spot, like a Floyd Mayweather or like a Canelo or it's not just that they're like better than you. Like they're really quick at adapting. Like they'll notice in that fire, like, oh, he threw it this way, and then moved this way, and they're just subconsciously like downloading all this data. By the third round, you're in trouble because now they know like half of your moves and have like traps everywhere set for you. It's like we were saying earlier, it's like a really dangerous game, and like especially when you're slipping punches, you're talking about like you like kind of overcommitting on like certain movements and slipping and trying to counter at the same time. Like for you to count, like say you someone throws a jab at you and you slip it and come over with the right hand, like you can't slip it like over here. It needs to just barely nick you.
it's just enough.
Just enough.
What they say is it's just enough for whatever. Your fist isn't big, so you don't need to move. It's not a massive movement, and like that's true. Also, when I train shit on the bag, like I might over exaggerate and it becomes bad habits. But yeah, you don't have to move that much, and it's not hard. It's hard to get used to that, but in the beginning, but eventually, like I said, it all either you want to learn or you don't too at the same time. So
I think like it's crazy when you spar for the first time or you're introduced to like any one of these like fighting systems, and you realize like, oh snap. Like, I really don't know anything because I think that, like, as a man, as, like, a male in this society, you grow up thinking, like, oh, I'm not a coward. Like, I know how to defend myself a little bit. Like, you know, like, oh, yeah, you always hear people, like that's always those guys, like, yeah, you can box, but, like, this is the street. Like, it won't work in the street. Or, like, always making, like, an excuse. I'm talking about one-on-one fighting. Of course, you pull out a hammer or some shit. Like, that's a different story. But
of course,
they'll be like, oh, like, I've heard people say, like, I'm too live for that. Or, like, a girl would never beat me up. And it's like, nah, dude, if they know what they're doing and you've never boxed before, you're not a part of this world. A girl will destroy you.
If you can't control your emotions when you get hit, you need to figure out what's wrong with you.
Yeah, I've heard people say, oh, that wouldn't happen in like real fight because I would just get angry. I'm like, yes, that's when you get knocked.
Yeah.
When you get angry, like you can't think straight and then everything goes right out the window. I think that's something that training really helps. Like it helps you control yourself. That's what's like. It's such an amazing thing because a lot of people who are drawn to that are drawn to like violence. A lot of the times, like their first reaction to something when they're younger or growing up might be like to use their fists. And like as you start boxing or training in any of these disciplines, you learn like how to really control that because it doesn't work, and you realize like you're not the tough guy macho that you thought you were. Like first time I sparred in boxing, I couldn't believe it because, you know, like I don't know, I was like looking pretty nice shadow boxing in my eyes.
Okay.
So I'm like, oh, I was watching film and I'm like, yo, I'm just gonna feint jab, left hook. That's it. Like I see this kid keeps parrying when he spars with people, so like I'm gonna feint jab, left hook, and then that's gonna be it. Like, and then I'm gonna right hand right after that, and like. You know, it's a different story when they're in front of you. Like you hear like the pads don't hit back or like the bag doesn't hit back. Like,
yeah.
You need to have that person coming back at you for you to know what the fuck you're doing. And like we were talking earlier, like dude, if you have not done this, you're not going to do good the first time.
Dude, I still like I told you, like I step in the ring and like I'm still nervous every time because I mean it's a fucking fight.
Yeah.
And like I said, the first time I sparred with Justin, like I knew that I had nothing for him, and I was just like, ain't this a bitch? And I didn't expect anything of myself that day other than like, yo, just stay up, bro. Mm. And it was pretty frustrating, like I said. And then, but as time's gone on and I've learned and grown, it's not as nerve-wracking anymore. Like when I sparred that chick I told you about that won nationals, like. I knew I didn't have much for her. Mm-hmm. I tried as much as I could, but then like my coach was like, yo, I feel like you're pulling back. And I was like, I mean, it's kind of weird to punch a girl in the face still. And he's like, nah, fuck that shit. Like, go for it. And I was like, damn, ain't this a bitch? So.
The way I see like sparring and rolling, for example, like in jiu-jitsu, like it's more like a personal, like mental battle. You like mature and you discover a part of yourself that I think it's hard to discover through just regular everyday routines.
Well,
in a
yeah,
way.
like we said, like, if you want to box, and like you're accepting that you're gonna get punched in the face and the body, and like you are probably gonna get outclassed.
Embarrassed.
Be ready for that,
It's a
man.
lot.
Be ready for that shit. And some days are gonna suck and some aren't, and let's just be ready for that.
Yeah,
shit.
or like when like.
And then, like you're saying, the mental game, like
Mhm.
knowing, like, if you're outclassed, or like I shared that video where I got the shit knocked out of me and I couldn't breathe and I had to keep moving forward because if we were in a fight, like if it was like, a fight, amateur fight or whatever, or even in the streets, like if a dude knocks the wind out of you on the street, that would suck. But in the ring, like, what are you gonna do? Stop? Because if it's a fight, like an actual fight where it counts, like that dude's gonna take everything at that point. So the mental game is the biggest thing. Your skills do matter, obviously, but if you are weak in the head, you're just gonna
I
fold.
think that part, like you just said, you keep pushing forward even though you feel like you want to fucking stop. I think you can apply that to other parts of your life.
Yep.
Like even you're in like a stressful situation at work or like in a relationship or something, like you feel cornered in, but you have to keep pushing. And like I feel like when you're in the fucking like guillotine, you're trying to rip out of it. Like it's easy to tap, it'll be over, but why not fight through it? It's like this conditioning. I think you could break into to like apply it, like I said, to other parts of your life.
Till you break your neck.
Whatever.
I feel you though. Nah, totally. And it's just knowing how to, like, that was something, like, as I've grown older, I focus more on the mental, and that can fuck your opponent up, man. Like, you take a good shot from them and it doesn't stop you.
No.
They can they could be like, oh shit.
It's like like, for example, I was actually just about to ask you because you're talking about getting nervous before you get into the ring, and it's like, do you still get nervous if you're better than them? And I guess that, like, if you do, it's just you're gonna be even more nervous if they're like a Mickey Ward, like it doesn't really matter if you're better than them. Like, they're going to make your life hell.
Even if it's somebody who is their first or fifth or whatever time getting in the ring, like, they might have something for me that I wasn't anticipating, and I'm not stupid.
Yeah.
So, like, it's like I said, it's a fight. Like, I'd be a fool to be like, well, I'm going to do this because I've been in the ring with people that are better than me, and maybe I caught them with something that, like, they weren't expecting. Mm-hmm. And you can always read your opponent's face, and they're confused. They might get mad. So there's you get against I'm blanking right now, but a skilled boxer, right?
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I just hope to survive that 3 fucking minutes.
Yeah. A lot of it's like imposing your will on the dude, like
Definitely
dictating the pace of the match and like showing that you're not just gonna like let this person walk all over you, essentially, even if they're drastically better than you. Showing your game,
So yeah, for a long time, the way I boxed was I stayed moving, like lateral movement. And what I realized was I stayed moving because I didn't think I had an answer for everything that came my way. Mm-hmm. As I was able to stay in the pocket more, I was more confident in what I was able to answer with. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So when you're outclassed and outmatched, it takes a lot of balls to just stand there in the pocket and just be ready. And like, we're like, you and I aren't big. Mm-hmm. And like, a big dude can rock the fuck out of us. Even if we deflect the punch right, block it, whatever. Yeah. Like, you can still get rocked and it sucks. But like you're saying, you have to be willing to keep going. And come here. I thought you want to be part of the party, man. Yeah, you just gotta be ready for that shit. And that's every time you get in the ring. Like, that's cool. It's gonna be a tough 3 minutes. Like, just be ready. Yeah, every round is tough, regardless of the skill of your opponent.
Yeah, and I think there's a lot of power in being able to just accept defeat sometimes. Not in terms of like giving up, but in terms of like accepting being humbled and accepting the fact that like you're not the baddest man on the planet. Because it's so easy if you're not the man in the arena to be like, I would have done this. Or like, you always watch these fights and everyone's like, I would have done that, I would have done this. It's like, but when you're actually training, there's no avoiding getting your shit
people on their couch like eating
you're always
chips.
there's always going to be there's always going to be someone who suns you,
Well, then I tell them, come to the house and like train, we can figure something. Like, I'm not going to your house. They don't want to train that bad. They just want to talk, and that's cool.
Yeah.
But also too, you might get outclassed one day, and just be ready to train harder so you can outclass them next time.
Yeah. What do you think about like crazy hard sparring?
I haven't done it. I mean, it's just everything's got its place, and that's cool. Just don't get knocked out.
Yeah, you have to. Yeah, that's. we were talking about those videos that we see on like these channels, and like. I feel like, you know, especially if you've never trained boxing specifically, they'll say like you'll be like, oh, I sparred in the ring or whatever, and they'll be like, oh, it's just like people who don't know whatever, be like, oh, it's just sparring. Oh, like you were wearing the headgear though, like they're saying like, oh, so it was like some fake shit, like you didn't really get like do you not understand that like let me punch you in the face with this headgear?
That shit sucks.
No, it's still the
I would prefer to spar without headgear.
It's the same concussive blow. Headgear is meant to stop you from getting cuts, and the gloves are meant to stop your hands from breaking.
Also, if you use those bad gloves when we spar, like you would get fucked up. Those things are tough. Yeah.
It's not. People think that like I've seen people like buy boxing gloves like now we can fight freely with no damage, like back.
You've been hit with like 8-ounce gloves?
No.
It sucks.
No. Wait, so I've always ever sparred with like 16.
Like 16s, it still hurts, but like you get a kid in the gym that's he may not have the money to get even like ringside gloves that are $60, so he gets some like Walmart Everlast gloves.
The ones that have like zero.
That shit sucks.
No, they're terrible.
That shit sucks.
Why does Everlast make those?
I don't know.
Because those shouldn't even be legal, dude. Like, they have no use in anything, and they're like dangerous for your hands.
You start doing like I was doing drills with this kid because he had something like that, and all we were doing was just like hook and try to catch it to the body. Yeah. And like that shit, I was like, damn, like there's no way this hurts this bad with 16-ounce gloves, and he didn't have 16-ounce gloves. That shit sucked.
No, it's insane, man. Yeah, I've only ever used the 16-ounce, and there's like the argument that those are worse for you because it adds an extra pound of like an extra pound. That's what I've read about that.
I don't know. That's weird science. I'm not sure.
As opposed to like the other ones like have less of a concussive blow, but they're more like impact. Like they were more likely to cut you or more likely to like do all this insanity. Like I don't know. Like,
I've never been. Have you been cut sparring?
Have I ever been cut sparring?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, I haven't either, so I don't know. I mean, like I've
had my nose bleed.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Quite a bit.
What are your thoughts on like CT and like subconcussive blows and all like concussions and shit? Have you ever feared that going into sparring?
No.
Never.
I've never even thought about it. Like when you were talking about it today, I was like, that's never crossed my mind. Because I've never had any fights, so I've never really thought about that kind of stuff. And like, yeah, it's just never crossed my mind.
Even when you've had headaches the next day?
Yeah, I was just like, oh, maybe my head goes too tight. Like when my dumb ass just thinks like, oh shit, like maybe I didn't get hit that hard, but maybe I did.
Yeah, I mean those subconcussive blows add up. I read somewhere that like the best defensive fighters in a 12-round fight get hit like 20 to 40 times. Obviously they're not clean. Like Mayweather's been hit clean like 3 times.
I don't know. I mean, so
20 to 40 times, more times than people get punched in the face their whole life in a 36-minute time frame.
Of course.
That's insane.
Sometimes you get punched 20 or 40 times in 3 minutes.
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
I don't know. I mean, I've been rocked pretty good at shows, but like never at the gym where I was like, oh shit, like I need a second. Yeah. So I don't know. Maybe I'm not getting hit hard enough. I don't know.
So you've never had any like gym wars like that?
No.
Because I've had some gym wars and I get so...
I've been punched like this kid punched me in the nose. I remember just feeling like my nose like crunch. I'm like, oh shit, it's about to start bleeding. Yeah. And it did. And I just remember I kept going because like I can't really stop.
Exactly, yeah.
And yeah, I don't know. I just kept going. I didn't get mad. I just felt bad that like I was hitting him with my bloody gloves. Yeah. Like I felt like, sorry, dude. So
how did you get into Graph?
So my first, as we were driving around, like how much graffiti did you see in the city?
Not much.
Right. So there's never been much in terms of an active scene. A lot of stuff that has had any significant impact in terms of history has come from a majority of out-of-towners. I'd say that's like, 2000s is what I'm referencing for that. Or people are transplants. And then I'd say late 2000s is when a lot of locals really started hitting up. Local, like a lot, meaning like there were a handful of kids that were active.
Okay.
So that leads to, this was like '03, freshman year of high school. This kid Blake Kim was drawing graffiti letters in English class, and I was like, that's just tight, yo, like write my name. And he did. I went home, I made an alphabet, and like it was just really terrible throw up letters. And after that I was doing just like really bad graffiti on my school projects. Catch tags here and there while we were skating through the city, but never actively started until like end of high school. So like I guess late to the game. Mm-hmm. And I met some people, and we all had different ideas of what we wanted to do for graffiti, because like internet was around '09, let's say, that we were really going for it. And I just caught myself like painting a lot by myself. I met my friend Obso, who really helped bring me to a couple levels up, and that was just kind of like my road dog in Charlotte. So
what do you think attracted you to it? Because I know you like, it could be seen as like an antisocial behavior, and you have that shit.
I mean, I am like, it's possible. I'm just like, it's fun to do in the sense of, I don't know what sense. It's just fun for me to do. And as time's gone on, I feel almost required to do it at times. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, I may not be as active right now, but like, I don't want to fall off. Yeah. And some people may still think they matter when they don't paint after 10 years, but you know, whatever.
Like, how were you as a freshman in high school?
I was a nerdy ass skater kid, man.
You were a skater kid.
Yeah. And we were out like, you know, just skating, having fun, and like, since there wasn't much graph in the city, there wasn't much to be like, yo, there's that fill in there, there's this, there's that. However, as I got into like hardcore and stuff, I still didn't see, like, nobody was really painting. Nobody was ever like, I'm actually gonna go dedicate my night to painting, like whatever. So all that was stuff I just kind of discovered on my own. So
you're just mainly seeing freight graph, right?
I mean, that's very popular in this area. A lot of people do paint freights. I mean, you know, walk the yard and all that shit, but I've always just enjoyed painting streets, even if it doesn't last.
What's the deal with like the law and graph out here? For example, I know in New York, a lot of people get caught and more or less nothing happens.
Knock on wood. My experience has been very easy. Like, you know, I've definitely been caught a few times, but they've never like kicked in my door. And I don't know who's been caught in recent years that would make any sort of like real case against. Like, I've heard when some people got pulled downtown, they happened upon a picture of my graph in a book, and police were like, yeah, we know your boy, don't worry about it. Which is fair. I mean, I've been fucking caught for it, so I'm not even surprised.
So what happened when you did get caught for it?
As a first offense, they make you take this like group therapy class. Yeah. And it's 2 times a week for 3 weeks, and then you get your case dismissed. So it's like
a joke.
Yes. They want to figure out. They want to figure out why what led you to commit the crime you committed, which is a low-level misdemeanor. Because like if you have an assault charge or some shit, you can't do that. So if you're, you know, they want to have you address family trauma or any sort of, would have had you like.
They want to pin it to some like underlying psychological. For
illness. Sure, and maybe it works for some people. It's just I was aware of what I was doing every time I've like done it, you know. So, hey, what are you doing?
Yeah, I think that like they want to pin it to some underlying psychological illness, but at the same time, it's like some people just like. You're young and you're playing Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2 and you think it's cool to write spat on the wall. You know what I mean? Like
some people just want to be a kid sometimes.
Yeah,
sometimes you just want to be a badass adult. I don't know.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Yeah. So, and then your only arrest for the graph has been in North Carolina?
Yeah, I've had interactions elsewhere, and it I didn't go to jail. We were able to we were detained and we were let go. I've been fortunate in that regard, yeah.
From all the places you've painted, like what place would you say was your favorite in terms of like the vibe, like the spots, like maybe a night out? Like where would you say you would go?
Painting Miami with Colt and Twice.
Miami?
Yeah, with Colt 45 and Twice. Like that was like graph highlight was we were bombing and I just felt fucking invisible painting. Like stupid hot fill-ins, no chill, like perfect. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there are those like nostalgic nights where it's just everything goes perfect. It's like one in the books. You know?
Yeah, and then there was just with those two, I was like, this is how I want every night to be. You know what I mean? So
How'd you come up with Neir?
it comes from my legal name.
Oh, word.
Yeah.
you never wrote anything else?
Yeah, but it was kind of goofy, and then I settled on that, and it has no real meaning other than like it's a play on my name, and that's about it.
Yeah. Like your style of graph, it's like the first time I saw you up was like in New York, and I was like seeing those stickers. I was like seeing the throw ups that you were doing downtown and stuff, and I just had like no idea where you were from, but I knew that you weren't from New York because like if someone just arrives in their art, they automatically have style. Then like you would have seen them coming up in New York, like
Right.
sucking and then getting better progressively, as opposed to just like, oh wow, there's this fill here and like it's already good and it's already like has these crews. So you know what I mean? Like,
Well, for one, thank you for saying my graph's good, but
yeah, like what do you think was the influence on your styles as from when you started like doing that alphabet in that book to now?
a majority of East Coast graffiti. Like I said, I think that you could just call the graffiti I do just East Coast for the most part. You know, New York style. I don't know. I think I would like to think you look at my graffiti as like that kid's from the East Coast at least. So that'd be it.
Yeah, like the R with the, you know, the.
Are you like, yeah, okay.
Yeah. Like, I feel like that stands out a
Yeah,
lot.
and the fucking when you do the Neirism with the fucking the exclamation
Yeah,
point,
there's
like
the
a
arrows, a certain like kick to like East Coast like New York style. I would have
It's
said.
a bit like violent.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
your tag is like that has like very sharp edges. You know what I
I
mean?
get the most direct influence on my hand style is my friend Soul from Miami. He helped me loosen up a lot with what I was doing, but like I gave you some of the stickers. Like his hand styles are very just obnoxiously crazy. But I mean, I appreciate the props. Thank you. But I mean, yeah, I like Miami graffiti is a strong influence to a degree. I think a lot of dudes on there have really great hand styles.
Why Miami? Why did Miami come into play? I feel like that's such a not common place for people to say that they had an influence on their style. Like we recently had someone on the show who's from Miami, and like he was talking about that. But other than that, I haven't heard anyone like saying. Granted, we've interviewed a lot of like New York writers, but
I mean, so in Charlotte, like I said, I was like, yo, what do you think of when you think Northern Carolina graffiti? Fucking nothing, probably,
Yeah.
right? And which is cool, but I've been fortunate to meet people, be influenced by certain people directly and indirectly. A lot of them just happen to come from Florida.
really,
That's just how it works. So yeah.
yeah. And honestly, I know very, very little about the Florida graffiti scene. I honestly would assume that there's like not much. And
Wait till you get to Miami.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I know like they have like.
My boy
artists over
Twice
there.
is everywhere.
Really.
Yeah.
No,
Can't wait to see that
yeah,
shit.
I'm hyped to see it, man.
Yeah. My boy
Yeah,
Twice
like-
is everywhere.
Yeah, I'm always interested to hear like how people have had their little like starts in graph, cause it's always like kind of like I don't know. It's like it's like similar but different. You know what I mean? Like
Sure.
like a lot of the old school writers, you hear them say like life was hell. I just picked up a can and started getting busy, or like instead of doing this and doing that and like all these other like elements of crime, I just like did this, which is essentially like a way softer, milder version of crime. Do you think that had any like play in your life or not really?
No.
Not at all.
If it did, it's subconscious, but I doubt it.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Like for me, it wasn't definitely like wasn't. I don't think it was at all either. I was just thought it was just something that like you said, like some kids just want to be kids.
Yeah, and then it just kind of stuck with me, and that was it.
Mm-hmm.
But graph is one of those things where I feel like if you stick with it for the longevity of like your entire life, I feel like there had to be like a certain spark. Cause yeah, like kids want to be kids. You want to like write spat on the wall or whatever, but that usually dies out after a little while. You move on to like other shit, you know?
Like we were clowning, some people are just like strictly graffiti writers.
Yeah.
And then got into boxing, got into some other things, and like graph kind of fell to the wayside. Also, like as you grow older, some people fall into careers, and like you got to do some grown man shit, and like you can't always go paint. Like you got to get up early for work. Like I could stay out all night painting,
Yeah.
but I'd rather go to work with like a decent night's rest at least.
It's interesting how like a lot of like legends or people that have been in the game for a minute, like they do get careers and families and stuff, but like when they reach a low point in their life again, or like something's like bothering them or some shit, you see them come out again. You know what I mean? They like fall back on graft to like.
For some people, it is therapeutic.
Escape that like systematic.
Some of my friends have been like, "Oh, I took a lot of anger out on that feeling," and to me, I'm just like, "What are you talking about?" Like, I don't equate my emotions to my graffiti in any way, shape, or form. Because like, when we were out today, like I knew what we were doing, so I was like, "Oh, I'm mad. Let me just be reckless as fuck." It's not my style, man. It's just not in who I am emotionally or whatever. So.
What about as opposed to like shooting and boxing? Do you think those have more of an effect on like your peace of mind?
I mean, when I know I shoot terrible at a match, like I just go home and I'm just bummed because I can't just be like, oh, let me shot, like, you know, you have a bad day at the gym, let me go home and work that drill over at home or whatever. Like, I can't just go in my backyard. I mean, I can go in my backyard and just pop shots, but the cops are gonna fucking come.
Yeah.
Boxing just clears my mental, like
completely.
Then that's like, it's just, that's good therapy for me.
Yeah.
Because you suffer for however long, like doing.
You can't think of anything else.
Right. You have, like, what are you gonna do? Like sit there and trip about whatever, or like you can go there, be like, okay, and you can check out mentally for an hour of the rest of your life. That's what I do at least. And you come back and like you feel like you accomplished something. And at some point you have, like, when you go to the gym, you're gonna have a tough day and you're gonna walk out feeling like you did something, and then just go back to whatever.
I feel like all these things, they have like a common thing where in the moment when you're doing them, it's like an escape from like your past, future, all that shit. You know, like your thoughts.
Like today we're gonna be like, yo, we're doing these motherfucking tags right now. Like fuck yeah, like we were hyped, which is cool. Like what's what you're saying? Like that's hype. And
or like when you're shooting an AR, like all you care about is like that moment. You're not thinking about other shit.
Those roofers across the street getting buck wild.
Like, that's what it is.
Like
I think
the hash slinging slasher.
Yeah, I didn't know what that was, man.
Nah, yeah, I got maybe Edda's getting buck wild in there. Yeah, no, it's well, yeah. I mean, when you were shooting that thing, like, you wanted to be on point. You can't sit there and be.
That's all I'm thinking about.
You could be slipping and just like blank, but that's super dangerous for however many reasons. So.
Yeah, honestly, man, I want to say thank you for like all your hospitality when you came out here. Like, you showed us a really, really, really good time, and just like.
I'm glad you had fun.
No, it was amazing, and I don't know how my North Carolina experience would have been like, if we didn't have like you to help us out and shit. So
I'm sure you could have found somebody, but I'm glad I was able to be the ambassador.
Yeah, man. Like, I want to thank you, and like thank you for coming on the show and like.
Of course, bro.
Giving us this opportunity and shit, bro.
Of course.
Yeah, dude. Thank you. Honestly, it was a fucking sick ass day.
I'm glad you guys enjoyed it.
This day
it was a very rowdy day.
This day has felt like it lasted a month, bro.
Yeah. People will see like on the. No, it feels like it's been. I mean, it's partly because I've been up for 400 hours and I'm about to.
You get no rest, yeah, and then
slept like 3 hours in fucking like upside down in a car.
Yeah, that was crazy, and like this pollen was destroying my eyes. But yo, man, thank you so much, bro.
Of course, bro.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Peace, bro. Neir.